Hello guys, this is Octavius with North American Archery. Thank you so much for tuning into our channel. Today I want to talk to you about an archery accuracy exercise that I do in order to become more accurate as an archer. This will work if you shoot a compound bow or a traditional bow like I do. This is going to help you go to the next level. Now, a lot of guys or gals would say, in order to become more accurate, you need to shoot more. Well, you can shoot more and more and more and more and just pick up bad habits along the way. For many years, I was shooting on the way down. What I mean is when I would go to full draw, I would shoot and I would have a downward cast in my shot. So when I would go down and hit my target or what I'm focusing on, then I would release the arrow. And that was because I was shooting at targets that were downhill or at a lower plane than the shoulders or where my arms would be. You see, if you make a perfect T like this, that's where you want to practice form. You don't want to practice your form like this or like this. You want to practice your form like this, making a perfect T like if you're making a cross, okay? You would make it like this. But if you don't set up your target in a way that will make that perfect T or that perfect cross, then you're going to be shooting like this, going down, or shooting up like that. And so what can tend to happen is if you're used to shooting like this, but your target is like that, it can throw your shot off because you're going to draw from up here and then come down on your shot because of your muscle memory that's built up over the course of time. And so what I've came up with is something that is not new to archery, but it's something that I want to introduce to you because I think it will help you and your family become better archers, because I know it's helped me and people in my family become better archers. Now here's the thing. All you need is what's behind me. What's behind me is right there is a target, and I got construction paper on top of it. And all I'm trying to do is make sure that as I release an arrow that I'm not focusing on anything. All I'm doing is focusing on my form. I'm focusing on bringing my bow arm up, having a straight back motion in my drawing hand, go to full anchor and cock my head, keep my elbow up and my bow arm straight and my elbow slightly bent and my bow canted, in this case probably about like 2 o'clock. And when I release my arrow, I want my hand to stay in my face. I don't want to go like this because for me, I pluck the string. I just let the string go and I do a push-pull method in order to have that arrow release and hit what I'm looking at. But by putting that construction paper over the actual target, I'm not focusing on the bullseye. All I'm doing is focusing on my form, and the target is set up in such a way where I'm going to have that T or that X that I'm looking for, so I'm not trying to have a down cast or an up cast. I'm actually going to release and I'm going to hold that form the entire time. So however your shot process is, you want to make sure that when you release that arrow, you hold your form, okay? You also make sure that you have that back tension. You squeeze your back, okay? A lot of guys don't squeeze their back. They don't squeeze at all. A lot of people in general, I should say, don't squeeze their back. It's literally important, even if you're in traditional archery, to get that perfect back tension and let that arrow fly, okay? So let me shoot a couple arrows and see what I'm talking about, so I can show you what I'm talking about. If you see that target down there, it has construction paper on it, and I'm not trying to focus on a spot. All I'm trying to do is focus on my form. So I'm gonna go and approach my target, and I'm gonna already tilt my head some, and I'm gonna go straight up, anchor, settle, and release. That's all I'm doing. As you can see, and I hope you can see this, I came into my shot and I held it in place and I released the arrow as soon as I settled in, okay? You want to do this in a perpendicular line. You don't want your target too low or too high, like I said, because if you do that, then you're going to have bad habits. like I said, I had a bad habit of shooting down. As soon as my bow arm came down on the target, I let go. You want to settle in. And this also applies if you're doing snap shooting. If you're holding for 2 seconds, you're gap shooting, you're shooting release on a compound bow, whatever it is, you want good back tension, you want good alignment, you want to settle into your shot and then release your arrow. But you're doing this archery accuracy exercise because it's taking the pressure off you to hitting a bullseye. All it's doing is getting you to a place where you are getting that muscle memory that you need when you need it the most. And it doesn't matter that I'm not grouping the arrows. All I'm trying to do is make sure that when I release the arrow, I get that great back tension. I feel everything in line. And as I'm looking at the arrow, they're hitting square on that target. It feels good. And you want to do this every single day, especially when you're working on accuracy. Even before you start shooting your 3D targets or your bag targets or whatever it is that you're shooting. You want to practice this every day as you're trying to improve your accuracy and hitting what you're looking at and you're focusing on those bullseyes. You want to do this every day, about 20 arrows. Or 18 arrows or 30 arrows, something like that. Shoot them in groups of 3, groups of 6, whatever it is that you want to do. But you want to make sure that you feel that your form and your shot process is second nature. Let me shoot one more. And you kind of hold it in place there. And so as you can see, those arrows down there are not all grouped together. 2 of them are pretty close. One is higher than the other ones, but I'm not focused on that. I'm focusing, like I said, on purely form. It's like shooting a basketball. You have the same repetition. You're practicing, you're practicing, you're practicing. And when I played basketball growing up, I would literally take a basketball and just shoot and use my form or practice on my form against a wall or against the backboard even. I know you probably never heard that before, but practicing your form, you could do sitting in a lawn chair, shooting against the wall, shooting against the backboard. Same thing about throwing a football. If I'm throwing a football, I could literally take a football and throw it back and forth with somebody. I'm trying to hit them, but if you're just purely practicing your form and the spin of the ball, you're not always going to be as accurate in that moment because you're focusing on just throwing the football. Or if you're practicing on your golf swing and you're swinging your golf club, trying to work on your drive, if you will, you're not necessarily trying to hit a green or a fairway. You're just practicing on a range, trying to make sure that your fundamentals are down and you have good follow through and good fundamentals in general, like I said. And so this is the same thing, guys. You want to practice on your form consistently every week. I do this a few times a week, just making sure that I have the muscle memory necessary to perform in a pressure situation, whether it's hunting or at an actual archery tournament. And I think that over the years, if you consistently do this, you will get better every single day, because I know that I have. Now, sometimes I'm lazy and I don't want to do this because I feel like, oh, I got it. I can go out there and I can just hit what I'm looking at. Well, right now, I actually went through a shooting slump and I notice again that I'm shooting on the way down because I've been practicing in elevated positions as well as shooting down at targets because I'm shooting out of a tree stand currently because I'm going deer hunting during this deer season at the time of this video. So now I've been going back to doing this, making sure that my form is good, I'm settling in on my shot, and I'm following through, and everything is looking pretty sharp as we speak. Now, when it translates to shooting down at a target, it will still translate because you're going to learn how to settle in and then bend at the waist and then shoot. You're not no longer trying to shoot going down or shoot with a downcast. You're now drawing straight on your actual target downhill and then you're releasing. If you're shooting up in a tree, same thing. You're going to settle in and then release instead of shooting up like this. Okay? Now, if you're following through on a moving target, like an animal that you're trying to harvest, that's a whole different thing. You're going to have a little follow through. But when it comes to a target that's walking really slowly or at a still position, you want to make sure that you're settling on your shot and then release your arrow, whether you're gap shooting, snap shooting, or you're holding for a few seconds. And so I hope this helps you, the compound shooter or the traditional bow hunter and archer like myself. And I want to tell you, please like and subscribe, turn on your post notifications. Thank you for your love and support. And I want you to remember something. You don't have to get ready when you stay ready. All right, guys, keep shooting. We'll talk to you later.